All right, guys, it's Jahlon, and this video is going to sound like a lot of tough love. And you know what? You're watching my stuff because obviously we've made some sort of connection and you want to make a change in your life. Today's video is like half motivation and it's like half recipe for success. And what you saw in the title was you have 86,400 seconds a day, and each one of them has to be used to the best potential you can. I get 24 hours a day, you get 24 hours a day. The most successful people on the planet, they only get 24 hours a day. The difference between you and me and them is how they're leveraging each and every second. Now, I do want to start with, if you're happy in your life, if you love your job, you love where you live, you don't want to make any changes to your life, stop listening. Don't fix what's broken. You're not the target audience. But what I am going to say is, for most everybody else, here's your life. You don't like something about your life, and all you're actually ever doing is complaining about it. You're not actually changing it. So real quick, I'm not going to start with one of these ridiculous presumptions that you're working 8 hours a day, you're sleeping 8 hours a day, and you have 8 hours a day to do some other stuff. I know that's ridiculous. Most people have some sort of commute. And I don't want to have the discussion in the comments below digress into my commute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start by saying you have a 2-hour commute. So we're going to change that 888 metric to a 1086. I don't personally care where you take the 2 hours from. You can take it from sleeping. You can take it from the doing other stuff. You could even decide you're going to do 10, 7, and 7. But either way, you're taking that time out. But you're commuting to work. How are you spending that commute? Are you doing anything for self-improvement during that commute? Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. When I was in my late teens, my early 20s, I would get off of work. It would be 5 o'clock. I would throw on the 5 o'clock traffic jam and I would just rock out during my drive home. I hated Chicago traffic. It's just Chicago rush hour traffic. It's the same thing. You know it's going to be there. I wish that we had audiobooks back then to the level we have them today, because I would have been reading all of those books over there. I would have been reading those or listening to those when I was a teenager. I do want to say this. There's a lot of things you can do while you're in a car. You can listen to audiobooks. The drawback is you can't really write, you can't really create, you can't really decompress your ideas or think about how you could have done things that day better. Lesson from my father was, when I turned 16, I had to have a car because I was in college at 16 at night. And my father said one of the greatest changes he made in his life was changing from commuting in traffic every day to taking the bus. He started taking the bus and he realized that 45 minutes on the bus gave him time to think, jot down ideas, jot down things that needed to be done the next day, all things you can't do while you're in a car. I am going to say this. I have never lived more than 15 minutes away from my jobs in the military. I always picked the closest little town to the military base because I didn't want to be subject to a 2-hour commute every day. Maybe that's not what you can do. Maybe you have a really good job and you can't afford to live near it. Or maybe you have a really nice place to live, but there's no jobs near it. That's all your situation. You figure out what's going to go. The job, the apartment, you figure that out. Maybe you can't give up either of them, but maybe just because you have a car, you shouldn't be wasting that 2 hours a day. Seems like an awful lot of wasted time. Maybe public transit will work for you. Maybe you can be on the bus or the train and you can read, you can write, you can have your notepad, you can create, you can take that college course you've been thinking of taking, but you always say, when am I going to have time to do homework? You can do homework on the train or the bus. So stop making excuses because you lost that 2 hours a day. Use it better. Now, I can't break down everyone's free time, nor would I try to. I'm a husband, I'm a parent, and that's time consuming. That is a time investment. Remember, you made those choices. You made that commitment to that spouse or those kids. Unless you got a stork dropped a kid off, you made the decisions you needed to make to have kids. And, you know, maybe you have the same responsibilities I have. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're taking night classes in college. Maybe you aren't. But I am going to tell you, if you hate your job and you hate your financial situation and you hate your life, and many of you do hate your lives, let's not lie. I don't have global statistics, but I know 40 million Americans have anxiety. That's like 18% of the adult population. I know 17 million Americans suffer from depression. That's like 6.7% of the adult population. Now, I've listed a book down below, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. We're going to cover that book later, but since I mentioned it, if you have bad anxiety or depression, maybe you want to look into that book today. But the only thing you can do in your life to change your anxiety, change your depression, change your bad job, change the apartment you live in that you don't want, is you have to start investing those 86,400 seconds better. And huge thing for me, I'm a big fan of quotes. Quote that changed my life is, if you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you always got. So what do I mean by that? If you have the same job, living in the same apartment, never making any changes, what are you complaining for about your life? If you're not changing it, what do you think is going to happen? If you aren't making changes to your life, then either you like the situation or you don't dislike it enough to change it. So stop complaining and your life is going to seem better when you stop being negative. All right. So now you're telling me you really do want to change it. Good. Let's talk about motivation and change. Are you living your life where you go to work, you come home, you play video games, you go to sleep, you get up the next morning, you go back to work, and the cycle continues? Well, then where's the change going to happen? How can the change happen? Maybe it's not video games. Maybe you're getting up in the morning, you're going to work, you're coming home from work, you're going out to get drinks with the girls or drink beers with the boys. You go to sleep, you get up the next day, you go back to work. Again, where can the change happen? Now, I am primarily making content to motivate content creators on YouTube and on Twitch. So I am going to say, instead of, wasting all your time, go to work, come home, work at being a content creator. And that could be a YouTuber, that can be a Twitch streamer, that could be an artist, that can be an author, that can be a college student, that could be a lot of things. And then sleep. And then the next day you come home and you work at it again. Content creators, you publish that video. Streamers, you look at yesterday's stream and how can you make it better. Artists, you work on the painting. Authors, you write another 1,000 words. College students, you knock out that next homework assignment. Sure, some of those things are going to start resulting in immediate money for you. You get monetized on YouTube, you become an affiliate on Twitch, you're going to start seeing extra money. If money is the issue in your life, I just gave you 2 ways that you can start making money. Artists, you can stream on Twitch while painting or sculpting or drawing. You can do that too if money's your problem. Now, authors, you have it a little harder. College students, yeah, absolutely, you have it a little harder. And I'm not telling you that life is going to be great, man. Is life going to suck? Yes, life is going to suck. Let me tell you, working all day and going to school at night sucks, okay? 86,400 seconds. Your job eats up 10 hours of it. College at night, 3 to 4 hours of it. It's not cool. Maybe you're broke and you can't afford your apartment, or you don't have a good job. So you're complaining all the time that you're broke. Well, what are you doing with the rest of your time? Is working 2 jobs fun? No. Is being broke fun? No. Which not fun thing do you want in your life? And how far into your life do you want it? If you are 20 years old, if you're in your late teens, you're in your early 20s, and you're broke, when do you think not being broke happens? Let me tell you, I've been rich, I've been poor, I've been in debt, I'm rich now. I will take rich every day of the week over being poor, but I didn't get it handed to me. I remember being in college, working 2.5 jobs, working a job at the mall, a job at the college newspaper. And because I had a sudden a sudden influx of debt, I got a job at White Castle's flipping burgers for $8.25 an hour because they paid the best. So before you say, oh, well, it was different when you were in your 20s and life was harder. Yeah, that's just one of those excuses people give because there was no magical, I turned 18, here's a check and here's your privilege. So when people say, oh, you're a boomer or you're Generation X and it was different, it really wasn't that different. Let me tell you another quote. I told you I like quotes. Live a couple of years like others won't, so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. I'm going to tell you right now, the stuff I'm telling you is the stuff that led me to success. And if you watched episode 1, I'm really not leaving this advice to anybody but my children. I told you guys in episode 1, I have a fear that I'm going to get hit by a bus or I'm going to die of a heart attack, and my children won't have this wisdom. So I'm leaving it for them. You can check episode 1 if you don't believe me. So if I'm leaving it for my own kids, you know that I want you to be successful as well, because I want them to be successful. So if you're in your 20s and you're hanging out with your friends, you're going to the bar on Friday, you're going to the lake or the ball game on Saturday, and maybe the club during the winter when the lake is frozen over, that's great. Live your best life. I am not telling you not to live your best life. What I am saying is, don't you dare have a complaint down the road that your life sucks. And don't complain in your 40s when you're my age about how unfair the hand you were dealt was. Oh, it just wasn't fair when I was in my 20s. You know what? I really want you to keep a journal and write down what you do every day for a year. So when you're in your 40s, you can short circuit your own complaints about your life. When you're in your 40s and you're looking back on your life, you did what you did and you got what you wanted. And at one point in your life, everything you got was exactly what you wanted, because it's the results of exactly where you put your time. I wanted to be rich and retired by 46. It happened at 37. It didn't happen exactly how I wanted. I didn't exactly hit the benchmarks I wanted, but I analyzed where I was and what I wanted, and I'm okay. But I get the same amount of time as you do every day, as everyone else on the planet does. And I want you to take a quick examination. I'm retired. I don't need to make any money from anything ever again. But I started a corporation at 40 years old just because I'm doing things that are generating income. And I want to be able to leave that for my kids. So if I'm doing that and I'm 40 and I'm 41 today, actually, and I'm retired, how am I spending my 24 hours a day versus how are you spending your 24 hours a day? Where am I investing my 86,400 seconds? Where are you investing your 86,400 seconds? That's all I want to know. I want you to be honest with yourselves. I want you to think about that, and I want you to leave me a comment down below. Let's talk about where all of your time goes. My name's Jahlon. I hope I did something today to motivate you, give you something to think about success, because there is no shortcut and there is no easy answer. Until you start thinking about it, until you really want it, success, change, none of that stuff can happen. I genuinely am interested in your comments below. Go ahead and leave them. Let's talk about some stuff, and I will talk to you next time. What are you still doing here? Nobody ever stays this long. This is the end screen. Well, since you're here, there's a couple other videos I think you should check out. And all those names, those are my patrons over at Patreon. I couldn't do this without them. So, big thanks to them for all their support.